Swift Blade.
And I realized I've just been catching this entire time with my mic off, so that's fantastic. And I've been saying all sorts of stupid, not stupid crap, but some of it was stupid crap. And anyway, now I have my mic on, and you guys can hear me, which is fantastic. I'm so happy about that. Anyway, I was making the point that Silhouette banned because Game 1, Diglett very good. Revenant banned likely because Game 1 and 2 was picked relatively early by DNKE, so a bit of a comfort hero for them. I don't really think it's worth a ban, but hey. Tempest, also don't think it's worth a ban. Not really sure why it was banned. Cthulhuphant, probably worth a ban. Very powerful hero. Get why they got rid of it. They decided to pick up Swiftblade and Torturer, obviously because Swiftblade was left open. He was banned the first 2 matches, and it's just a ridiculously powerful hero, so no surprise that it gets picked up relatively quickly. But the counterpick Rhapsody, definitely also a very, very strong hero, and not hugely surprised that she, excuse me, is getting chosen here relatively quickly. Torturer going to, I don't know, they keep picking this hero up. I'm not really sure why. Did well last game, but really worth it? Not sure, especially this early on. I feel like that's a hero that maybe it'll get banned in the second banning phase, but at the very least you could pick it up third. I don't think that Hellborn were super bent on getting it, but hey, now they have it. Gauntlet going to be the second pick there for the Hellborn side. A hero that I really, really hate, and a hero that I really, really would wish people would stop picking up because it's got like a 30% win rate in 25 games or so, which is not that many games, but it's definitely enough to say that, yeah, Gauntlet's not a great hero. I think I'm finally getting some people on that train of thought. But Flux will be the third pickup here, and as I talked about before, I like this hero. I think it deserves more of a spotlight. I don't think it's just a partner to Engineer. I think it's a good hero in its own right, and I'm happy that it is finally getting picked up by some teams and being seen, because I think it deserves that. But the Hellborn side will finish off their draft with Parasite, and obviously going to go right into the jungle with that, so likely looking at a Rhapsody and perhaps Gauntlet middle lane, or Rhapsody top with a babysit hero. Parasite in the middle, Gauntlet in the middle, and Parasite in the jungle. Hellborn, or Legion side, excuse me, will have Swiftblade. They can put that anywhere. I mean, Swiftblade we've seen more and more in the suicide role, has done extremely well as a suicide hero, and wouldn't be surprised to see that run as a suicide in this situation, especially because we saw Torture run as a farmer last game, and if they do that once again, it's going to be difficult to do anything other than either Suicide Swiftblade or a long lane dual lane, perhaps a long lane tri-lane. Obviously that's still available to them if they want to go for a tri-lane, in which case you could still see Swiftblade in a long lane because that's just a powerful hero and it does very well in a tri-lane. Anyway, Legion side going to ban out Moon Queen and Madman right off the bat, as Hellborn of course have not picked up a short laner or a true suicide yet. They could definitely run the long lane dual lane if they want to, but I'm not really a fan of that in this situation. I think they'd like to see Gauntlet run as a dual mid. I don't think he's particularly good either way, but he's better, I feel like, when he's dual mid, when you get something else to help supplement his burst damage. He does not have that much lockdown, and I don't think he can really kill heroes on his own in the laning phase. He needs somebody to help him out. So wouldn't mind seeing perhaps a Rhapsody Gauntlet middle lane if Hellborn choose to do that, and then get a solo top as well as a suicide. They're soft picking the Oogie here, and I sort of hope they don't pick that up because we've seen Oogie a number of times. I think in competitive play it's pretty much been proven that it's not really viable. I think Dawn won with it like once or twice, but that's just about it. Anyway, Legion side have finished off their bans. Bubbles as their last removal, obviously getting rid of one more suicide option. There's potentially a short lane and mid hero as well. Hellborn, meanwhile, going to ban out Engineer, Glacius, and Behemoth, 3 heroes that I believe they all played before. They definitely played Glacius and Behe in last game. I do believe they played Engineer in a previous game, and definitely tUS played NG in the previous game. Yeah, that behemoth did a lot of work. Riftwalker here, getting the first pick out of the banning, or second banning phase here, and as the Hellborn side pretty much banned out a crap ton of supports. Interesting, because Torture was already picked up, and they've got a fair number of supports still left on the board. Empath, most notably. Obviously, Nymphora, Pyromancer, Witch Slayer, those sorts all still available as well. Could even get some off-the-wall stuff like a Puppet Master support, Polywog Priest, Aluna, Pearl. They've got some options left for support, so not really sure if I would have targeted those as that sort of bans. Perhaps a true Suicide might have been better, but then again, they needed one on the Hellborn side as well, so that could have ended up shooting themselves in the foot. Anyway, Legion side had to pick up Riftwalker and then Shadowblade. So Shadowblade, a hero we saw earlier, I believe it was in this series. I don't remember. Jesus, I have a terrible memory, and that's why I track stats, is because I can't remember anything. He did very, very well in... He did very, very well in his performance earlier, and it must not have been this series. It was the previous series, yeah. It was Ogre versus Twisted Fusion, where we saw Shadowblade, and he did quite well. Very, very difficult to kill, of course, as he got to late game. He got a Behe Heart and was like, oh, I have 5,500 health. Try to kill me. Oh, look, you killed me. Well, guess what? I also had a token, and now your tower and racks are dead because I don't care. Yeah, whatever. So, very, very tanky hero, difficult to deal with. Will he do so well in this situation? Not entirely sure. I don't really like him very much. I think just because he had one good game doesn't make him a good hero. I feel like the damage output isn't the greatest. He's tanky as all hell, but really only if he can get some gear up, and he doesn't farm particularly well either. So I think there's a good reason we haven't seen him too much, and perhaps this game that will get exposed, and perhaps it will not, I don't know. Swiftblade likely going to be in Suicide as a result of that pickup, and we will probably see a solo... No? I wouldn't be surprised actually to see a aggro tri-lane here with the help with Legion heroes. Riftwalker not really a great tri-lane hero, and Torture would like a setup stun, so maybe not. I can't tell. Legion side are a little odd. Their picks are strange. So let's get it on. Hard to tell what they want to do. Anyway, Hellborn, meanwhile, have finished off their draft with Reshahag and Kraken. So Kraken going to be in Diglett's hands. A little bit odd. He has been playing the hard carry in both of the last two games. So I would have expected him to be on the Wretched Hag in this type of situation. Suggests that going to be a Hag Suicide here, which I'm just fine with. Kraken Suicide is a terrible, terrible, terrible hero. He just gets crushed. Like I like the idea. I think his skill set fits it pretty damn well, but for whatever reason it just doesn't seem to work. So I like the decision to send Hag Suicide here. That's definitely not a bad choice in my opinion, especially because the Legion side are mostly short range or melee cores. Obviously the Torture and Riftwalker have plenty of range, but they're not going to be taking priority farm. It's going to be a Shadowblade, Swiftblade, and Flux. Also, Shadowblade, Swiftblade, prepare for me to screw that up a lot. I'm going to do it constantly. So it'll basically just be like you're watching HoNcast. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, Hag gonna drop down here. I think she might have spotted the Shadowblade there. I don't know. Probably not. He has the uphill advantage. Anyway, mid lane will be the Rhapsody and Gauntlet. No huge surprise there. And up top, it's going to be a Kraken in the solo short, going up against a Suicide Swiftblade. So again, not a huge surprise. And Swiftblade would be shocked if he won this lane either, just because he is so damn powerful, especially in the early on. And in a 1v1 against a melee, he should be just fine. I think Kraken has nice lane presence with a splash, and has the charge, obviously, which will prevent him from taking too much damage and probably prevent him from dying, at least until Swiftblade hits level 6. But before that, I wouldn't be surprised to see Switchblade take lane control and take control of that lane, and take lane control and take control of the lane. Well done, me. Let's take control of the lane and perhaps get a kill at level 6 when he has access to those slashes. And Kraken can no longer charge away from them, as that is not an interrupt. It's just something that would carry Swifty with him. And the release to Kraken, likely not going to be enough to counter him unless he already uses the Swift Slashes, because, of course, the Superior Magic Stun is nice over the Swiftblade spin. I just don't think it's going to be enough damage. Anyway, bottom lane, Hag getting zoned out here. They really did expect some sort of tri-lane, perhaps? I don't know, because Riftwalker's down here in the woods. Oh, they're just running the... I missed this. They're running Willowkeeper's Jungle Pull strat. So, well done to them. For taking something that somebody else did and saying, yeah, that makes sense, let's try it. You might call it copying, you might call it whatever you want, but it's a good strat, it works pretty damn well, and I think that the fact that another team is trying this sort of thing and saying, look, we recognize when you did something well, when you did something smart, so we're going to emulate you, that's a sign of a good team. So we'll see how well DNKE does with that. Definitely adds some value to their lanes, I think, because it's harder to suggest that they're going to be, you know, out-farmed, out-experienced because they have the dual support, as well as, of course, Parasite versus dual support. He loves that sort of situation. Now, we're going to have some levels on Riftwalker, we're going to have some farm on Riftwalker. That's going to be extremely important to allow her to not get killed by Parasite all the friggin' time, especially because she has no escape mechanism, no stun, no real good slow. And with the Facehug, actually, if she puts the slow on him, that could be very bad. Top lane, Suicide Swiftblade up here, not doing too bad at all. 210 GPM compared to Diglett at just about the same mark, so relatively even in this lane so far. Both of them have used a bit of mana. And Swifty actually in spin stats, I'm not even sure what the typical Suicide Swiftbladed build is, but Kraken can take a lot of damage here, and we'll have to charge away. Swifty will clean up the creep kills. And we'll probably pound his auto attacks here as well, as Kraken's going to take a fair bit of damage, has a health pot, and is going to be forced to use it right there. Swiftblade still sitting on a health pot and some runes of the Blight. Is that what, yep, Blight Stones, whatever they used to be called, runes of the Blight, I think. Anyway, bottom lane, Russian Hag going to be forced to blink away. Illusion Torture won't be able to do too much.
First of many.
And I'm missing crap in the middle lane because I'm reading to a shot. Anyway, looks like Gauntlet here made a lot of trouble. Gets pulled back in by Flux. Nice release there, ends up being the kill. Anyway, returning to the top lane a little bit, 240 GPM now onto Swiftblade, and 260 onto Kraken. So Kraken taking this back a little bit, but Swifty still has the regen advantage in terms of the health pot and the runes. So I'd like to see a little bit more aggression here. He's got the ability to try to force some stuff out of Kraken, who is really only sitting on Blightstones now. In the meantime, Parasite over here pretty much just farming in the woods, actually. Hasn't really tried to gank yet, 270 GPM, so he's not doing too bad at all. And I can't really blame him. There's not really much he can do against this. You know, Swiftblade's got the spin, and he's just very difficult to kill in general, so wouldn't be surprised if it'd be effectively pointless to try to gank him. Middle lane, I haven't talked about that too much, but it's going to be Flux and by himself, yeah. Flux and nobody. At 230 gold per minute compared to Misery at 171 GPM. Considering he's paired with a Rhapsody there, that's pretty awful. We'll see how he's able to try to bring that back, but like, I hate Gauntlet. Bad hero. And right here, losing in a 2v1 to a Flux. And that was the wrong release there, but the Cascade event's going to pull him back in. The Rift Burn is not going to be enough. That was an awful hook. And nothing against Misery, I just hate this hero, so I take joy in pointing out every single thing that goes wrong. Bottom lane going, Shadowblade going into range for him to grab some CS, as he's currently at 220 gold per minute. Bird Wretch attack at 226, and File up top kills Diglett, so that's sort of what I was expecting. Spin, and there's the cell level 6, and now you're dead. That's pretty much exactly what I thought was going to happen. Was once Swiftblade hits level 6, it's going to be really, really hard for Kraken not to let that happen. So things going pretty well here for DNKE right off the bat. They do have a couple of kills, both on Gauntlet and Kraken. So the mid and the short laner dying, and as a result, nobody on the Hellborn side over 250 gold per minute. Meanwhile, most of the Legion side is either at or over that mark. And I'm just, geez, have I hit one kill yet? No. Slasky Ret can fall in the middle. Flux having some issues. Cascade Event helping a little bit, but not nearly enough. As Parasite's coming in to try to help out with the gank, and is successful. Back to the top lane once again. File here at 310 GPM. The Suicide Swiftblade, it really has been a revelation, because before we almost never saw it in this role, and really this cycle more, and a little bit last cycle we saw a fair bit of it, and it just crushed. I think it had a win rate over 80%, and a lot of that was because Keizu is really, really, really good at it and knows exactly what he's doing. But I mean, there's a reason that if the best team in the world is going to pick this hero up and run him a specific role a lot, that probably tells you something about the hero and that role. Like, it's good. So, not a huge surprise here that he is at the highest GPM in the game, or at the very least, it's less of a surprise than it would be if it were very many other heroes. I can believe this, and for pretty much anybody else, I maybe couldn't. Maybe Hag. Maybe Bubbles, I don't know. There's a couple. Bottom lane Hag gonna blink away before Torturer can land the stun. Notable Torturer is only level 2 here. That's could be a bit of a problem, as obviously Torturer a hero that really, really, really likes his levels. And the rest of the Hellborn side, at least level 5 on everybody. The Legion side, just not doing very well at all on levels. Level 3 Torturer, level 4 Riftwalker. Swiftblade is level 8, which is the highest level in the game, and that's doing a lot to prevent them from falling all the way out of the experience race. Just not the greatest situation right now. I'm trying to do some auto attack harass you to Swift or Shadowblade. See, there you go, first one. Oh god. I meant to say Shadowblade, said Swiftblade. Misery recovering a little bit here in the middle lane, up to 260 GPM. That's not bad at all. Flux down to below 200. So after that really good start here from Flux in the middle lane, things have since calmed down. Keep thinking that Hag's in trouble, but she's not. Mostly because Torture is pretty much doing nothing other than pull, which is good because it's denying a fair bit of experience from Hag, as she's only at level 7 compared to actually level 6 Swiftblade. Again, I did it again. Yep, there it is. Level 6 Shadowblade. That's probably what's doing it. That's what our screen there is crushing. Helping out quite a lot. Middle lane, meanwhile, Fluxing H up once again, and that's going to be a pretty easy kill. So Parasite with a gank. Mimitzar coming in from the side. I believe he came in off the top here. And getting yet another kill will even it up, and all of a sudden, Last of Us have opened up a golden experience lead. 2.5k experience, 1.5k gold. Not bad at all, especially considering how they're really not winning this top lane. And usually if you lose your short lane, that's not a recipe for doing particularly well in the overall golden experience charts. But they're winning mid now pretty handily, as Flux is just getting completely shut down. Bottom lane isn't going badly at all, 285 gold per minute on that Hag compared to 270 on Shadowblade, so that's really not something that should be happening, especially with a Torturer. And once again, this is the same thing that happened in the first game. You had a 2v1 situation where you have a hero that should just be farming like crazy, and a Torturer helping out. Flux pulling everybody in, but that was a bad decision. Riftwalker to land the ultimate on to 3. We'll see if they can turn this into anything. They can. That's 1 kill. Parasite with a face up coming back in, but the Rift Burn is there, and we'll see if Hag can get out of this. Yes, she can, just barely. Meanwhile, King Nikki and that Torture does fall, so they end up picking up the Rhapsody, but that's it. They get the 2-for-1 for the Legion side, killing Flux and Torture. Definitely a good engagement for the Hellborn, as they not only got that, but they got a couple of ultimates out of it as well. Costing the Bat Blast and the Face Hug, but again, short cooldown to the Face Hug, and Bat Blast definitely worth it. But this Hag should not be at 310 gold per minute. Like, Torture is one of the best zoning supports in the entire game. He should have basically made it his mission to keep Wretched Hag out of this lane, and it shouldn't have been as hard as it was. The initial pull from Riftwalker, I think, screwed it up a little bit because obviously it puts a lane in a position that you don't want it to be. But they should know how to recover from that. Like, if they're going to run that strat, they should know how to deal with that sort of thing. And I don't know if they just didn't, or if they did it, and they did it wrong, or what, but they should have had a better semblance of lane control than they did, and it feels like this Hag is just doing way, way better than she should. I mean, this shouldn't have a suicide 1v2 Wretched Hag out-farming the opposing team's short lane. That's just not a thing. Initiation there, Mill Gauntlet Blast, but he gets pulled back by Flux, and they're looking to counter jump here. Parasite and a Hell Cannon, trying to take some bounces just in case. Riftwalker ultimate getting hit onto 2, and that's a Spear Magic stun, so that's not going to help Parasite and his Hell Cannon too much. Rhapsody goes down right off the bat. Looks like Misery's going to be in a lot of trouble as well. There's a 1 kill. Kraken ultimate catches a bunch, but the pushback from Flux looks like Torture might be okay. Trying to get the kill is Parasite. Oh god, that's going to connect. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. And he really wants this. He's looking for the jump onto Torture somewhere, and Hag wants it too. Oh man, King Nikki, better run away. Yeah, he's going to be fine. As they dropped a ward even, looking for something. So that's the end of that engagement right there. Pretty solid one there for the Legion side, as they managed to take, I believe, 2 for 1. Did they even lose anybody in that fight? No, they didn't, did they? No, 2 for nothing. I'm just crazy. So that's going to help them out a little bit in terms of both resources. DD Rune on Hag, and Shadowblade could be in some trouble here. There goes the Haunt. And we'll see if Hag chooses to follow this up. Not going to do so, and definitely I think the smart play there. Doesn't really want to dive the tower at this point. And can use this DD to back Shadowblade off this lane even more. And continue to win a lane that she really, 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 really should not win. Meanwhile, up to the side over here, Gauntlet going to catch Shadowblade, and that should be a kill at some point. Bat Blast will finish him off, so not choosing to run, and there's the ultimate from Whipwalker. Going to hit a couple, but is there damage? Nope. That was a very, very nice ultimate, but there was absolutely no follow-up to anybody on the team because Shadowblade was already dead and Torture wasn't anywhere close, although I don't think Torture could have done too much anyway. Has a level 3 impalement and a level 2 stun, which would have been nice, and might have actually gotten the kill onto Gauntlet, but then that probably would have been a death for Torture, and that's a good trade, but could have also been death for Riftwalker. And point is, missing the coordination a little bit there, I think, is the Legion side, as Riftwalker coming in with an ultimate and really, really wasting it. There's no reason why it needed to be used at that point. And it is a pretty short cooldown. It's already half of the way back. But they could have used it right there, for example, to get a 2-man stun into Wretched Hag and Rhapsody. At least get a kill onto Rhapsody, very possibly Hag as well. Top lane, Kraken will port back to defend that. And middle lane, they're trying to defend this, but a hasted Gauntlet is not going to get caught. Parasite and a Catman champion, also just going to run away. Bottom lane, Rhapsody and Hag looking for a pickoff somewhere. Word of Revelation is here. They obviously know there is no vision. And Shadowblade can continue farming this bottom lane by himself, pretty much. Torture's kind of hanging around here just in case. But Rhapsody is going to catch him at some point. Like, they're going to see each other. Really? They didn't... Wow. I'm kind of shocked. Alright. Whatever. Looks like that engagement is going to die, and they'll just be fine. Meanwhile, middle lane, release the Kraken completely misses, but there's the staccatos and the Gauntlet Blast, and you are dead, good Sir Swiftblade. Torture looking for the chain reactions, won't be able to connect. I'm not sure if they had the follow-up for that anyway. Kraken's pretty damn tanky. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Shore can actually get caught out, as that's going to be the end of him. Yeah. So Riftwalker dying as well, and thanks to the beauty of replay casting, we can actually catch both pieces of action, even when I miss them, which happens quite a lot. So player Shadowblade, yep, there, that's 3, I think. Shadowblade continuing to push the bottom lane, and still haven't done too much damage to this bottom tower. Again, if you're gonna pick Torturer and you're gonna put him in a bottom 1v2, feels like you should try to take the tower relatively early. He's got the impalement, it's good tower pushing ability, so push a tower. I don't know. But you see this tower is taking almost no damage compared to the Hellborn Legion tower. Meanwhile, over the side here, yeah, I know that something was gapping those times. Anyway, Torture, yeah, you're just dead. Oh well. As I was saying before, though, the bottom tower has taken more damage from the Hellborn than from the Legion. It's not really something that should happen, and this is sort of what it felt like was happening in Game 1, where at least then the Legion... Jesus Christ. Middle lane, looks like Misery is just screwed. Yeah, Swift Slashes are there, that'll be a big off, so that's what happened. Oh well. Top lane gonna be port in here, and Parasite's looking for the flank. We'll see if Hag can do anything. Is there the burst damage? Bat Blast, yep. I did catch that one. I got a kill, haha. Stupid game. You thought that you could make all the kills ones that I didn't see, but I caught one. I'm not completely incompetent, just mostly incompetent. Meanwhile, Swiftblade pushing the middle lane, and he's not going to get this tower, but he's going to get pretty significant damage onto it. Off to the side here, Kraken going to jump onto Torturer. Man, that's painful. Hasted Kraken, just does not care. Cascade event there misses Rhapsody. And Kraken, once again, has a haste rune, so can basically do whatever he wants at this point. And release Kraken actually hits 2. Gonna try to kill this Riftwalker here, I assume. Gauntlet Blast also hits onto a couple. There's the Infernal Instability. And pretty easy kill onto Riftwalker. Looks like Shadowblade's next on the list. Flux Ultimate pushing everybody away. Staccato Stun's going to Swiftblade off to the side there. And that's going to be it for them. We'll see if they can turn this around here. Legion side do not have access to too much in terms of abilities, and Shadowblade is going to fall. Parasite's finally going to be here, and Rhapsody coming in from the side as well. There's the Leech onto Swifty. Staccato Stuns are going to be available for Flux, I assume? No. Rhapsody holding on to them. And that looks like that'll be the end of that fight. Sorry, Twitch had a question. Anyway, looks like triple stacked Ancients here will be taken by Rap and Kraken. Going to be a pretty significant amount of farm for them, and tUS just feel like they're in pretty solid control of this game at this point. 7.5k gold, 8.5k experience, and despite the fact that the Legion side have pretty substantial late game that can't really be matched by the Hellborn team. Anyway, Hellborn's late game I don't think is nearly as powerful as Legion's, but doesn't really matter at this point. You know, Kraken's a solid late game hero. Astrolabe's a pretty interesting choice for him. But if they keep the farm up like this, I'm just not sure it's going to matter, because we've got Swiftblade at 310 GPM, and he doesn't need it, really. I mean, Swiftblade at 300 gold per minute can do a ton of work. I'm not really concerned about him. It's Shadowblade. I keep going back to that hero feeling like I don't think he's that good, and at 285 gold per minute, is he going to have the sort of impact that you'd like a short lane hero to have? I kind of feel like no. and the rest of the Legion side just isn't going to help him out enough. 190 gold per minute on the Flux, 200 gold per minute on Riftwalker. They're not sitting at the kind of farm that you'd need. Meanwhile, up top here, looks like Swiftblade could get caught once again once he stops spinning. There's the Wild Hunter and the Face Hog. Oh, you're in trouble, buddy. Last auto attack there from Parasite. No, actually, AGB gets it with the Haunt Tick.
Massacre!
And mid lane, we might see a jump here on the Misery. Oh, Riftwalker ultimate. It's too bad. Used it, tried to get a kill, but Gauntlet must have seen something and portal keyed right on away. And it looks like bottom tier 1 tower is going to be the next point of focus for this Legion side. Should be a pretty easy tower kill here, especially considering that the Legion have entirely abandoned it. I might have just said focus for the Legion side.
Destroyed a Legion
I did in
tower.
fact mean Hellborn. And Triple Ancients here gonna be killed by the Legion side. Gonna get a pretty significant amount of farm for them, and pretty damn critical. But Last of Us continuing to open up their golden experience lead. I'd like to see a convoy attempt, I think. If they're... I hope that's what this dewarding is meant to accomplish. But I feel like, yeah, okay, good, there it is. Because obviously Gauntlet, very, very good convoy killing hero thanks to the Enfeeble. And Rhapsody going to help out a little with the dance floor. But most importantly, it seems like they might need a token to try to take some of these fights. Well, they don't really. They don't need a token to take any of these fights. They may not know that. They may not realize exactly how far up they are, because I think at this point it's not immediately obvious. None of them are farming all that well. 420 gold per minute on Wretched Hag, 400 GPM on Kraken. Both good marks, but not insurmountable if the other team has substantially more farm than you think. Top tower is denied. And with a token, they're going to feel a lot more safe. And that's going to allow them to at least take a tier 2 tower, maybe even a base tower. And more importantly, it may allow them to take a team fight that will then allow them to take a tier 2 tower or a base tower. So, I really like the decision to Congo right there. I think that this is a mid-game oriented team and they need to get moving sooner rather than later. If they let this go to 45 minutes or an hour, Shadowblade and Swiftblade will get particularly powerful, and they won't really be able to contest that. Also got to notice here that all tier 1 towers still alive. And again, this is the problem that DNKE had in Game 1, is they just did not push effectively. They had an Ophelia, and they didn't push. Bot tier 1 tower was alive for like 15 or 20 minutes. That's not acceptable if you've got an Ophelia. It shouldn't happen. It's just a hero that's way too good at pushing to let that occur. There's too much tower gold there to let that occur, and the map control is very, very important. They took too long to push down mid tower as well, and I think that really did a lot to cost them in the end. They weren't as able to be mobile around the map. They lost their woods, and that's exactly what's happening once again as Hag and Parasite are farming Legion woods. They can't do much to defend this. And how much further can Shadowblade push up? How is that going to affect his farm? He's not going to be able to... He may not be able to take this next wave, because that might be too far up. And we made an illustration of that right here as Wretched Hag is sort of looking for a jump. But you can see, he's backing off, feeling like, I'm not safe here, I can't farm this. And we are now in between where the tier 1 and tier 2 towers are. At 23 minutes in this game, we shouldn't be saying, oh, Shadowblade can't safely farm this far in his bottom lane. Sorry, I'm getting stiff. Buddy wants to play so bad. Anyway. So, I mean, what can Legion side do about this at this point? Their team fight isn't that good. They need to pick off. I feel like that's the only thing that can happen, and you can look at their vision right now. It's completely friggin' awful. They've got one ward over here. That's not going to do too much, and they're completely blind other than that. So they need to get some wards up. They need to get some, at least some mid-map vision. Possibly some aggressive vision. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, Shadowblade going to jump here. Riftwalker ultimate coming in on a couple. He's barely going to survive, but not nearly long enough. Perhaps he will finish him off. And we'll see if the Hellborn side can get out of this unscathed. No, doesn't look like it. Misery going to be the first one to fall. All sorts of TP support coming in here. Looks like Rhapsody might also be in some trouble. No, excellent juke there, and will TP on away. Wretched Hag is going to be able to blank out and get the escape. So it ends up being a 1-for-1. Losing Gauntlet in exchange for Shadowblade. Definitely a fight that they will take. And in the meantime, up top here, Kraken is pushing this top lane. Obviously, all the ports were used. That means that he can push this without being super afraid that somebody's going to port right in his face. And looks like he won't get too much damage under the tower, especially because the Legion side is rotating over to stop this. But that's the sort of thing that can make a difference in taking a base tower, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there. And all of a sudden, the base tower is a lot easier to kill than it would normally be. Same thing for this tier 2 here in middle. So I'd like to see Hellborn at this point press their advantage. They've got very, very good team fight with Rhapsody, Kraken, and Wretched Hag. Lots of powerful AoE ultimates, both offensive and defensive. Wretched God Torture, just dead. Obviously, you can see Parasite did go the Codex build on top of the Puzzle Block, which is level 1 still, and Codex is also level 1. So, easily going to wreck this Torture here. 101, 4, and 2, and 84 GPM. That's just, you're going to be food for that Parasite, man. And so is Riftwalker, for that matter. He's got 1200 health, which is not going to be enough to survive Parasite. He won't die to the initial burst, but he will die, I think, to 1 or 2 subsequent auto attacks. Or if he's got any support at all, that's going to be a death. And really, Flux and Swiftblade can also die. We saw Swiftblade get picked up earlier by Parasite and Wretched Hag. It took also a Bat Blast from Hag, but I think this is a situation that they need to be a little bit concerned about. So they're going to push this bottom lane.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn
Mid tier
tower.
1 actually falls to the creeps, which is nice for them, but in the meantime, this tier 3 tower is getting pressured really, really heavily, and the Legion side need to be doing something about this, because that's going to be a dead tower. Nope, Riftwalker ultimate does nothing. Nice counter, and actually Wretched Hag going to jump into the background. Swift Slashes go off onto a few. Hawes actually goes out, and not quite sure why, but when it goes straight through, that doesn't really matter. Slaskid Ret is dead. The token goes out from Hag. Getting that guy on that Torturer is also going to fall. Or at least Kraken pretty much did nothing. We'll see if Diglett can get out of this. Yes, he can. Actually, nice Rhapsody ultimate, doing plenty, and we'll push Rhapsody back. That's not going to be too good for them, but it looks like they're going to finish off Shadowblade here, as well as possibly Swiftblade. No, gets pulled back in by Flux, and that's going to be yet another tower kill actually up top, but in the meantime, Rax will fall here in the bottom lane, and Gauntlet completely whiffing a hook right there. But they definitely got what they were coming for, and those bottom racks. It did cost them the token, of course, on Wretched Hag, but nobody actually died, and they picked off a few hero kills in the meantime. Definitely a push that's worth it. Looks like they might try to take this tier 2 tower in middle as well. And that's probably doable, especially with Shadowblade down for 25 more seconds if they get somebody to just tank it for a little bit. Either Gauntlet or Kraken, preferably Gauntlet, considering Kraken's a little bit low right now. But that's actually not what they're going to do. A little surprising. I would have preferred to see them try to take this tier 2 tower. It probably would have died relatively quickly, and would have set up a subsequent push. Would have then not had to deal with it. Meanwhile, Parasite once again says, "Hello, Torturer." There is a ward there. So, King DNKE just not having a great time here, as is the case very often if you're a support player playing against a Parasite, especially if that Parasite chooses to go for a Codex. It's just, you're going to suffer. It's what's going to happen. Mid lane, meanwhile, getting pushed down a little bit by Gauntlet and a couple of illusions. And presumably those will just be sent onto the tower, do some chip damage. Those are some pretty tanky illusions. Not anymore. With this tower now down to a third. And that's sort of what I was talking about. That wasn't even a concerted effort to push it, and it already got from, 2/3 to a third. If they had just taken that after taking bottom racks, it would have died immediately. It wouldn't have been dangerous at all. And a little extra gold, a little extra map control, and then when they finally do decide to push middle, that's one less tower they have to deal with. So would have liked to have seen that, but not the biggest deal in the world. They are still up pretty significantly here. 21k gold, 24k experience, absolutely in the lead. And of course, Eggy B on that Wretched Hag is just crushing here. Daylit doing very well on Kraken as well, but notably that Suicide Wretched Hag turning into a 430 GPM hero. Obviously, Grimoire Power helping a lot with that, but it looks like she has finished a Sheepstick here. She's currently sitting on the Null, or not Nullstone, but Ultimate Orb, and there's the Sheepstick, yeah. Hellfire, Health, again, I keep saying that, Hellflower. Finished off by Gauntlet. And that's, of course, going to help lock down Swiftblade as well as Riftwalker. Prevent them from spinning and ulting and such. Rhapsody has picked up a portal key, so choosing not even to go upgraded boots right into a portal key, and that's actually a pretty huge pick. Meanwhile, off to the bottom lane, actually looks like Parasite will pick off Torturer here in the Wild Hunter. Red ward goes down, so they see him, but it's like, nah, too bad, buddy. And so slashes are there. Is that going to be... gets Knight on the Mauler. Can he get back into it? No. So, ends up being a 1-for-1 there. Narcy not exactly making a great trade, as he trades his life for Torturers, but hey, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. He gets a kill out of it. And I think if he had popped his puzzle box a little bit earlier, then maybe some more Swift Slash bounces would have been absorbed. Lane. Nobody really looking to jump on top of this Flux, who is once again just not having a great time. 0-5 and 5, 220 GPM, and currently sitting on just the Astrolabe and Mystic Vestments, as well as Steam Boots. Bottom lane, there's the jump on Swiftblade, and he's in a lot of trouble. Charge into the trees, and that's death. Just way too much burst damage, way too much lockdown, and File is not able to survive. 352 GPM on him, so he's actually doing pretty well. He has a buyback, and he's probably going to need to use it up top. Meanwhile, looks like Wretched Hag can get the Sheepstick onto Shadowblade, but not nearly enough damage to take him out, as he's got 2200 health, as well as Mystic Vestments, and that's just not easy to do. Mid tower was denied in the meantime. Or... yeah. So, looks like middle tower will now be their focus. And background Shadowblade trying to get some more health. Just turning into a strength hero. 2500 health now. Cascade event, helping to clean up the creep wave a little bit. And it looks like the Hellborn are not really interested in pushing this particularly hard. And you can certainly understand why not. Or should be back up in a matter of seconds. So wouldn't be surprised to see them just say, alright, we'll push this middle out, force them back into the base, same thing happens on bottom, and then we take Conquer. And they're scouting it out like it's about to spawn. Yep, there it is. So, no surprise, Conquer going to be the next focus, and once again going to be putting a token, most likely on Eggy B on that Wretched Hag. And then, I would be surprised if that turns into a mid-tower push. And potentially some more racks. And I'm feeling kind of down here on DNKE in general. I'm not seeing a great road for them to come back in this game. It's 22-8 hero kills. They have to know they're significantly down. They see that pop up. That's got to be demoralizing. And it's just hard to see their way back because of the Shadowblade mostly. That's not necessarily a knock on them or the idea that they can't come back. I haven't seen this hero enough to suggest, oh, 400 or 310 gold per minute on Shadowblade is fine. They're still in this. I suspect that's not true. I can't confirm it. I'd be really surprised, though. I mean, and especially considering they've got Hag, who's got late game carry potential, not as much as Swiftblade and Shadowblade, but you put Kraken in that mix and you add the GPM difference on top of it, and it's pretty easy to see that tUS are in a better position coming into this fight currently, as well as possibly the late game. Actually, Gauntlet jumping in the background, getting real aggressive here. And it looks like Swift Flash will go down to a bunch, doing 10 damage. Meanwhile, King Nick and the Torch are going to fall immediately. Rhapsody Ultimate not really doing very much at all, as it looks like they will get the kill onto Parasite, but that's it so far. Shadowblade going to look like he's going to die as well. Riftwalker in a lot of trouble, as Eggy B still has that token of life up. Swiftblade has not died. There it finally goes. And the token gonna get killed here. Finally, yes, there it goes. Riftburn is there, Switchblade buys back pretty much immediately, but I don't think that's gonna matter too much. Retrohag currently on a quad kill streak. We'll see if we can get the Annihilation. And if they keep going for this, then yeah, maybe. They're gonna try to turn it around. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't do that. There's the Haunt and the Sheepstick. Looking for the Annihilation here is Retrohag. Yep, there it is. Really? The timer's too long? I'm surprised. Kraken wants to charge back, so they're well diving at this point, and they shouldn't really be doing that because this game isn't completely over, but it kind of shows you how far ahead they are and how confident they feel, and they're not unjustified in that confidence. King Nikke there will die. The Immortal is on Eggy B, so he's getting crushed. King Nikke is just getting destroyed, and Eggy B in the meantime is crushing. And that's going to be another kill, this time to Misery. But they're sort of just looking to finish this right now, I guess. They have 2 lanes down. I don't think there's really any legitimate way that the Legion side can come back from this, short of, you know, a bunch of DCs in the Hellborn team. It's going to take some pretty horrible play from the Hellborn and some pretty amazing play from the Legion for them to get back from the edge of the precipice here. They're at 30k in both Golden Experience deficits, so I don't see it happening. And, I mean, it could. We'll stick around just in case, but I'm not feeling too confident here in DNKE's chances to advance. Of course, this is the Winners Bracket Semifinals, which does not mean that they're out of Cycle 2. It just means that they will likely be knocked down to the loser bracket here, and will have a chance to fight their way back up into the Grand Finals as a result. There's the spin. Swift Slash is onto Parasite, and he can't actually get into a creep quite yet, so Narcy will drop. That helps. Every little thing you can get. That's the sort of thing that's going to help you out. Get a pick here, get a pick there, take a tower. Bottom tier 1 tower is still above half health at 36 minutes in this game. Meanwhile, the rest of the Hellborn team just like, screw this. And Narcy times out, so that's fun. Likely to see a pause here, but of course we got replay auto skip pause, so don't care about that. Or maybe they don't even care about their teammate, they're not even going to pause for it. It's looking more and more possible. Misery and Diglett hanging out up here, looking for some sort of push. Obviously, middle and bottom lanes will continue to push themselves into the Legion base as a result of these super creeps there. And once again, they should have to wait here. Charge forward actually on the Flux. We'll get him all the way out of the back. And release the Kraken gets twice. Actually, he's got a Refresher Stone there. Riftwalk Ultimate does nothing. Ultimate there from Rhapsody saves a ton of damage. And that's basically meaning clean out for Legion. And that's the game. GG well played are called. No huge surprise there, as that was pretty much it. So, well played to both sides. 3 pretty good games here, as tUS will take the series 2-1 and move on to the Winners Bracket Final.